Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Appreciate you holding this hearing today. This hearing is particularly pertinent as the temporary fix provided in FY 2018 Consolidated Appropriation Act expires today. My legislation, the Forest Information Reform Act, amends the Cottonwood requirements for reconsultation and Forest Service plans when new information is found. This legislation allows the Forest Service to incorporate new information into its current plan rather than starting consultations with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service from scratch. Specifically, my legislation amends the Forest and Rangeland Renewables Resource Planning Act and the Federal Land Policy Management Act to clarify that the Secretary shall not be required to reinitiate consultation under Section 7 of the ESA on land plan approved, amended, or revised when a species is listed, critical habitat is designated, or new information concerning a listed species or critical habitat becomes available. Legislation is needed to fix the disastrous Cottonwood decision. The decision, which went against a previous court decision from the 10th Circuit, has weaponized by radical environmental groups to use the Endangered Species Act to prevent proper forest management. The decision makes it so that if any new species are listed under the ESA, a new critical habitat is designated, or more information becomes known about a species previously listed, the U.S. Forest Service must restart an already onerous consultation process with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service about how the information will impact both the forest plan and specific restoration projects. Moreover, the decision results in the Forest Service having to follow different procedures based on what part of the country they're completing restoration projects in, which adds confusion and difficulties for employees. It shouldn't be more difficult for the Forest Service to operate in Montana than in Wyoming. The people of Montana shouldn't face a higher burden to receive necessary forest restoration projects. This decision has created new administrative and legal hurdles that make it more difficult for the Forest Service to manage forests and reduce wildfires on federal lands. Forest Service officials have previously testified that the decision negatively impacts their resources and their operations. Without a fix, reconsultation would be required on at least 36 national forests in the 9th Circuit, taking up to 10 years and costing multiple millions of dollars each year. Valuable time and money that would be better spent restoring forests on the ground. In 2022, as my colleague said, there will be more than 66,000 fires and more than 7 million acres burned across the country. In Montana alone, 125,000 acres burned in 2022. We need to be doing all we can to combat wildfires out west. My legislation is a key part of stopping the wildfire crisis. We currently have 28 timber sales and 30,000 acres of forest land that is under litigation in Montana. That is land which is ready to be harvested and yet is also at high risk of losing all value due to wildfires. Advocates for the disastrous decision argue that it's necessary for the conservation of wildlife. However, as many of the witnesses will point out, the Cottonwood decision has made the construction projects needed to conserve wildlife more difficult. In my state of Montana specifically, the Stonewall Project in the Helena, Lewis and Clark National Forest would have managed vegetation to benefit wildlife, but Cottonwood-inspired litigation delayed the project. As a result of the delays, wildfires burned over half of the proposed treatment area, destroying valuable wildlife habitat. The project went through years of consultation and was delayed further unnecessarily by a lawsuit. While the 2018 Omnibus Bill provided a partial temporary fix that expires today, there needs to be a permanent solution. My bill is a common sense solution that would prevent the Forest Service from facing a perpetual cycle of litigation and allow them to chart a new era of efficiency, which will benefit Montanans and those across the nation. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield back.